Alright, today I'm going to show you how to properly uninstall a pilot bearing. We're doing a 6R80 swap on a 2007 to 9 gt500. So in order to align the torque converter, you have to get this out. What I like to do is put a little grease in there. I'm using a 12mm deep well with an extension. Try to get all the air out of the hole. Basically what this does is cause a hydraulic effect. So whatever goes in, something has to come out, and hopefully it'll be this pilot bearing. We'll see. Still feels like it's got some air in there. There it is. Alright, let's see what we can do here. You have to watch your hand, they get in your way. Alright, repack it. Being a little extra stubborn. Looks like it moved a little bit finally. Extra on there won't help. Looks like it's about to come out. There it is. It's that easy. Alright, next on this 6R80 swap, we gotta get the console out. There he is. Two 10mm screws there, two Phillips head, and this e-brake handle will have to come apart, and then it will slide out. Alright, after removing the top console. The bottom console has to come out to get this manual shifter boot out. There's two 7mm screws right here that have to come out, and then the console will be ready to come out after you disconnect the wiring. Alright, got those screws out, got the wiring connections taken out, make sure everything's loose, comes right up like so. I have to have both hands, so I'll show you what it looks like after it's removed. Alright, so this is what it looks like afterwards. So there's a pad here. We'll have to remove this plate. Once we remove this plate, the stock shifter will bolt right into the same place with the same bolts without modification. So this is the stock shifter out of a 11 to 12 6R80 car. It does not have select shift, so we're going to install this and I'll show you what it looks like here in just a second. So notice the two bolts at the bottom. This has to be disconnected to fit down in the hole. That way it swivels. Alright, so here's the shifter installed. Only thing we like is going up underneath, reconnecting the two bolts with the bracket, and we'll be ready to put a transmission in. Alright, so here's what it looks like underneath once the shifter is installed. So like I said, we've got these two bolts to bolt this bracket back up with, and be ready to install the transmission. Alright, so we got those two bolts tightened. As you can see, that everything fits really good. You know, all these S197 cars pretty much the same chassis, so swapping stuff around it's really easy. This 6R80 swap's really not that hard. You know, just anybody with good mechanical skills can pretty much do it. Just take your time and you know, let's do things right. Alright, so this customer has a set of American Racing long tube headers installed. So whenever I took the TR6060 out, you can see how they kind of go up under the transmission. What I had to do is drop the K-member down a few inches, and once I got it out, I was able to clear the firewall. Hopefully this one goes back up in. Being automatic, you don't really have a clutch to clear, so that gives you a couple more inches for clearance. So we're going to try to get this in and see how it looks. Alright, so as you can see, as we was talking about, that the header's hanging down is causing a little bit of an issue. So what we'll have to do is, you've got some bolts in the K-member. It looks like I've already got them out, so it looks like loosen the 4 up front, tilt the motor back, and see if it'll go. It's got a circle D converter in this transmission already. Alright, got it in. It's tight, but there's clearance. So on to the next step. Those bolts are probably the hardest to get to. You have to use a really long extension. I have to look over my tool selection here, but that extension plus another one half that size. Those bolts are normally hard to get to, so what I do is I'll stick a magnet to it and I'll feed them up in there with this. Those top two are really hard to get in, and it'll make you say some bad words, so this is the easiest way. Alright, so this is the transmission installed. I also went ahead and hooked up the shift linkage, which is really easy. It just kind of snaps in. Factory wiring harness. Some of it you'll use, some of it you won't. Basically, it's just tying this 6R80 speed sensor reverse lights into the factory harness to make it work like it was intended from the factory. So the next thing would be torque converter bolts and starter.